Astrology isn't meant to put you inside of a box. It's more like a language, a symbolic system that helps you observe yourself and the patterns of life more clearly. The planets aren't telling you who you are. They're offering mirrors that can help you ask deeper questions about how you live. Today, I want to explore one of the most powerful relationships in astrology, and that is Saturn and Jupiter's relationship. Today is Saturday here, so it's a Saturn energy based day based on a lot of the systems that I play with. So it's very structured, very disciplined, but there is a balance to that. Structure and discipline can benefit you so much in establishing a container to hold your growth and your dreams, but you need to also allow your legacy, your dreams, your expansion to expand. You have to allow change. This is the relationship between Jupiter and Saturn. It's a beautiful relationship, and it's happening in every facet in your life, and it can show up in your chart and point to themes that you're experiencing during transits, or you're experiencing just naturally in your natal chart that are large themes in your life. So there's a myth for Kronos and Zeus when it comes to Jupiter and Saturn. In mythology, Saturn appears as Kronos, the god of time, authority, and control. Jupiter appears as Zeus, the god of expansion, growth, and possibilities. The story says Kronos was so afraid of losing his power that he tried to stop change. He swallowed his own children to prevent the future from happening. But eventually Zeus, one of Kronos's children, rose up and overthrows Kronos, shortening the story in a very small, compact way. The story isn't about violence and rebellion. At its heart, it's about truth we see everywhere in life. Structure tries to hold things in place. That is the job definition of structure, but growth eventually transforms it. What Saturn and Jupiter represent in astrology is going to be a form of kind of a balancing force, right? Saturn represents thematically structure, discipline, responsibility, time, boundaries. Hello, authority. Hello, Father. Hello, Saturn. Jupiter represents expansion, opportunity, growth, meaning, and exploration. Hello, legacy. Hello, dreams. Hello, sun, my seed. Saturn builds the structure of life. Saturn builds the platform for the seed, the legacy to even grow. And Jupiter expands beyond it. Without Saturn, growth with no foundation. Without Jupiter, structure with would become stagnant, okay? Stagnation. Nothing else is cooking over here. Real development happens when the two energies work together, okay? When the son and the father relationship become unified. That is the best. And speaking of son and father, that's a huge theme when it comes to Jupiter and Saturn. Saturn as the father archetype, right? This is something I was really feeling when reflecting on this energy. Saturn often shows up symbolically as the father archetype. It's the authority, the energy that restricts and requires certain things in order to give something. There's structure in that. It's the protector energy. Saturn is the one that will provide the safety and the structure for the foundation, the family, the seed, to be able to even exist in that space. It's the one that establishes rules and structure. That is Saturn. That is the father. This can reflect the influence of your own father or authority figures growing up in your life. It's the concept of protection. That protection can show up very restricting, and that protection can show up very supportive. But it's the authority and it's the protector energy. This is a Saturnian realm. This realm, this space, Earth is here to protect you. It is here to give you the platform for your growth when it's functioning in its highest octave, but you can fall into the trap of the power trying to be used to restrict and control you for the sake of protecting you from fear. Well, that's something else, right? Saturn also becomes something deeper over time for you. You become the authority in your life. If you think about how Saturn moves as a planetary energy and how that energy shows up in your life, you experience what is called a Saturn return, which is where Saturn returns back to its original energetic start point in your natal chart, about 28, 29-ish, almost 30 years, okay? That's going to depend on your own chart energetically and when you came into this space and time. That is a checkpoint on you coming into your own authority, into your own protection of yourself. It is a very huge maturity point in your life. It's checking in on how are you showing up as your own authority? Are you taking your power? Are you responsible for your power? Are you showing up? And it will continue to happen in that cycle of every 29 years. You'll have another return where Saturn will check in and ask you about your authority, give you more of a report card almost on how you're doing with it. It's not the only check-in that Saturn does. You're also going to have Saturn squares where Saturn is, 90 degrees from squaring its original Saturn point. It's going to have Saturn oppositions where it's directly opposite, where these points in time will show you things about your own authority, your own structure, your own protectiveness. Are you responsible? Are you doing what you're here to do? Are you setting up the system and structure for that? Saturn will check in. It's all for you to become the authority in your life. You become the one responsible for the structure you live within. That first Saturn return is so important because it's almost the maturation from being a child in this energy into being a adult. And it's not to say that you cannot participate in adult themes earlier. You might come in with more Saturn energy naturally in your chart or have experiences where you bring in Saturn because of whatever other ways. But the cycle will start showing up where just naturally in space, as space moves, time is something that was created in order to give meaning to space and experiences. So as time moves, you're going to notice the maturation. And this is only because the energy is amplifying and it's returning to certain places to see if lessons were learned and experiences were expanded. And Saturn will show you that in your chart. Jupiter, on the other hand, is all about legacy. When I think of Jupiter, I think of the sun, the seed, the legacy, what you're looking to leave behind, what you're looking to build and grow. If Saturn is authority and builds structure, Jupiter is expansion and creates legacy. Jupiter represents what you grow in the world. It's your knowledge, your philosophy, your influence, the seeds you plant that grow beyond you. In many ways, Jupiter is going to ask, what are you expanding into the world? Where ideas, knowledge, or experiences are you leaving behind these themes for other people? It's a wonderful energy to fall into, and it's known as the sun energy, your seed. I had a beautiful quote, and it wasn't even a quote, it was just a theme brought up to me today as I was doing research and exploring topics, was a forest is so expansive and so structured. It is what it is, right? But a seed from a tree holds the whole forest inside of it. So your legacy, the cat tried to walk on the laptop. No, Oni, no princess. Your legacy holds the whole structure, the whole amalgamation of everything you've acquired knowledge-wise, everything you've acquired over your expansion, your philosophies. It holds all of that in the seed. It holds the Father inside of the seed. The structure the Father gave it is held inside of the seed. So it's all about expansion of the world, your world, and in a collective energy, because Jupiter and Saturn are both social energies, social planets. It's all about the expansion of the collective conscious. Personally, I believe in the collective whole. We're all in that energy. No, princess, walk around. We're all in the energy of oneness. I'm just gonna let her walk in front. Please do not sit there. Oh, keep going. Very good girl. Okay. We had a little cat moment. She wanted to sit. Good girl, Oni. Good girl, princess. Okay. So yeah, Jupiter is all about expansion of the world and legacy. I'm going to move on to the next topic because I got cat energy shifted. So it's probably meaning to move on. So when we think about Jupiter and Saturn energy in the collective cycle, right? The expansive energy that you're leaving in legacy, we're going to think about Saturn and Jupiter as they collectively shape history. Every 20 years, the two planets meet in a great conjunction, right? This moment often occurs when shifts in society, culture, and systems of power happen. We had a huge one in 2020. We entered a major new era when Jupiter and Saturn met in Aquarius. This marked the beginning of about 200 years of air element conjunctions. Before that time, Jupiter and Saturn were meeting in mostly like Earth energy when they were having their conjunctions. And that was going to be focused on industry resources and material development. You can look back over the past 200 years and see the reflection of this energy in our collective understanding of history, of the past, of energy. Now the focus being in the air element and continuing to be in air elements, the conjunction will be happening, is going to be focused in themes of information, ideas, technology, collective thinking. So even on a global level, we're watching the balance between structure and expansion evolve. It's a wonderful time. You're noticing this in rises in AI, communication, networks, communities, collective thinking. It's all happening. And it doesn't mean these themes were not happening before, obviously 2020. They were, but it is amplified right now because Jupiter and Saturn, when they meet to meet structure with legacy, growth, they are meeting in air. They are meeting in these themes. So seeing Jupiter and Saturn in your own life can be awakening towards what's going on personally for you, and also knowing where Jupiter and Saturn are in the collective can help you know what's kind of going around energetically in the collective world and how you want to incorporate yourself into that. You can also observe the relationship inside of your own chart, right? Like we're talking about. Saturn tends to show where life asks for responsibility and discipline, and Jupiter tends to show where life asks for offerings of growth and opportunity. So the question becomes, are you building structure, Saturn? Are you expanding beyond it, Jupiter? Are you holding on to something out of fear of change, low octave Saturn? Or are you expanding with building something sustainable, high octave Jupiter? The mythology of Kronos and Zeus remind us of something important. Structure is necessary, discipline is necessary, but growth is inevitable. Life is always expanding. If you look out in nature, it will show you that nothing stays the same. Everything has a cycle of growth and rebirth, and providing a structure for that to be at its most optimal is the best balance that you can have. Because life is always expanding. That's like the one theme that is so beautiful about this world, and understanding that and not allowing Saturn to get too rigid when you remember that. Change is inevitable. People, you hear it all the time. It is the truth. No matter how controlling and how forceful you are, change, you can't stop it. You can't stop it. I know there are people that want to develop ways of postponing it and extending it, but even if you adjust what that chain or what that structure looks like, and you're continuing something longer than its traditional natural cycle, it's still going to evolve. It's still change in a form. So somewhere between Saturn's structure and Jupiter's expansion is where you're building the legacy of who you're becoming. This is you. So where are you building the legacy of who you're becoming? And what, if you're curious about these topics, is the energy showing up in your own chart? Asking yourself, where is Saturn asking you to build structure in your life? Where Saturn's transiting, it's asking you to, I just seen the eagle, it was pretty. Wow. It's asking you to look at your structure, look at your personal authority, look at your habits and behaviors, and is that building a structure where your dreams can come true? Jupiter is asking you where you're looking to expand those things, whether it's in your transit or in your natal. It's something we can explore together if you want to. If you like support understanding your own Saturn and Jupiter placements, feel free to reach out, because astrology isn't here to limit you. It's not. It's here to help you understand yourself more clearly. So you can consciously choose the life you're building. You're going to do it anyway. It just might take longer, and you can do it in a place of ease when you enjoy the experience. Remember, Jupiter is very optimistic in its expansion when it's in high octave form. Saturn can be very pessimistic and realistic when it's in its low octave form. But when you find the balance between the two, about being realistic about your own structure and optimistic about the growth that you're going to have, but not illusionary on what that growth requires, you found the sweet spot between Jupiter and Saturn. So happy Saturn energy. Enjoy the growth, build the structure, the container, and love your life. Expand it. Love you.